Well, things are heating up in the Premier League. There's no undefeated sides and there's no sides that are winless. It's a great competition, so it's great to be back here on DK and Gray. Gray Morris joins me. Gray, sorry I'm a bit late, mate.
It has been a while. It was March, wasn't it, that we last spoke?
Yeah, it's been too long. Saints, big winners against Tiwi on the weekend. They ran away with it in the last quarter.
Yes, looked like an upset for a while there. The Tiwis were in front and actually halfway through the second quarter, but as you said, St Mary's just grew extra legs, turned on the gas after three-quarter time, and bye-bye the Tiwi Bombers.
And then after that, it was good to see the Buffaloes. They were big winners against Waratahs in the end. They ran away with it as well.
Andrew McLeod factor, big crowd out there at Marara last Saturday night, of course, and the Buffaloes fired up after half-time, ran away by 8 or 9 goals. Very good win for them and a real confidence booster against a fast-fading Waratahs.
And Districts, they didn't fade. They knocked off the Tigers and I guess, stalled their unbeaten run.
No, you're right. Everyone expected Nightcliff to go on their merry way, but the Crocodiles come out very hungry, very snappy, stuck with Nightcliff for probably the first half and a bit, and then bang, they were on top and went on to win by, I think, about 5 goals. So a great win for the boys here at Fred's Pass.
And another team that was pretty snappy in victory were the Palmerston Magpies. They destroyed Wanderers on that Sunday.
Well, what the Magpies do, they peck, don't they? And they pecked away at Wanderers for the first half and then decided, well, that's it. We want to win this game for our favourite son, Elwyn Davey, playing his 100th game, and they bolted away from Wanderers. Probably the best win I think the Magpies have had for many a year.
So moving on to round 8, some more big games, and it kicks off with the grand final replay. St Mary's taking on Wanderers.
Yes, whether these two sides will be at full strength, of course, is a query, because there's some big names out, like Peter McFarlane, he's out for another month, so the St Mary's people tell me. Carl Lodi out for another couple, but it's still going to be a great game. The green and gold versus the blue and gold. Wanderers look like they'll get their captain back after suspension, Shane Thorne. He'll certainly be a bonus. So, yeah, you would expect a fair crowd out there for the, as you say, the grand final rematch.
And then after that, Buffaloes are playing Nightcliff. Well, Buffaloes, of course, are in form. Can they do the job on the Tigers this week, Grant?
Well, the Buffaloes only went down by 20-odd points to Nightcliff in the first round, and I think on this occasion the game is at Marara, wide open spaces. No Andrew McLeod, though, for the Buffaloes. It's a toss of a coin.
And for Nightcliff, maybe some inclusions. Gibson Turner was one that missed last week, and he might come back in to aid that forward line for them.
Gibson Turner will be back, and of course there's a query on the big Nightcliff ruckman, Sepp Gilhouse, who destroyed the Buffaloes in that first game. So yes, very interesting when they sit down to pick their teams on Thursday night.
A couple of games on Sunday as well, Gray. Waratahs taking on Palmerston. Palmerston in red-hot form. Waratahs, they need a win.
Well, I spoke to their coach Tim Weatherall yesterday. They are desperate to win. They really need to get back on the winning track. 6 in a row now they've dropped, and he tells me they've gone through 42 players already, which is unbelievable for although not really for the NTFL competition, but certainly for competitions around Australia. So yes, Waratahs desperate to win. Palmerston very, very keen to keep rolling. Let's
spend a little bit of time on Waratahs. How do you see them getting themselves back into the competition, because at the moment they're really struggling?
Well, they've got big Westerberg, the big fellow. He's out injured. Josh Chaplin, of course, I think he's out for another 2 or 3 weeks as well. So they're missing key players, but they're also missing confidence. For some reason, a very good win first up against Palmerston, and the next 6 weeks they've dropped. Although they haven't been thrashed, they have been probably comfortably beaten twice, but 4 of those losses have been through 4 goals or 5 goals or less. So there's not a lot of work to do by Tim Weatherall and the boys, but they've certainly got to get that winning feeling back in a hurry.
And then the final game on the islands, Tiwi versus Southern District. Southern District's heading over this time, hopefully. Great touch a bit of wood there after last year not making it quite there.
That's right, the Cyclones and everything last year, wasn't it? But the Tiwi Bombers, I've got a feeling about this game, Dave, and I get feelings once or twice every season. I just reckon the Tiwi's going to be a different side over there in front of family and friends. You watch players like Gerard Cunningham and Ken Tiller playing last week, and they're not far from their best. So it's a tough ask, I think, for Districts. They were coming off course that, as you mentioned earlier, that breakthrough win against Nightcliff, but just think the Tiwi Bombers will be ready, and they might even knock off Districts.
Well, there you go. So some interesting Interesting predictions there. Tiwi to upset Southern Districts. In the other games, what are the tips? So we'll start with Saints and Wanderers.
St Mary's and Wanderers, well, you just can't go past St Mary's. I mean, everyone knows they lost to Nightcliff 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago now. But very, very good, as I said, against Tiwi's in that last quarter. Even without several big players to come back, of course, big name players. Very hard to see Wanderers beating. But Dave, as you know, with Wanderers, you just never know.
You never know. So not giving us a tip, or?
Here I am. I'll stick with St Mary's by about 4 goals.
Saints by 4 goals. Buffs and Tigers.
Love to see the Buffaloes keep going, because when the Buffaloes are winning, it's good for the NTFL competition. The old bums on seats syndrome, as they say. But I just reckon Nightcliff will be stung by last week's loss, and they'll bounce back very hard and win by about 28 points.
There you go. And Waratahs and Palmerston.
Yeah, look, the Magpies, they're rolling along. Of course, once again, in Darwin football, it depends on what team they take out on the field. But if they get both the Davey boys there again, and the big ruckman, Matthew Dennis, of course, was very good last week, and a guy up forward called Mark Hamilton, who they got from Banks in the Division 1. He's been very good too. So the Magpies by about 18 points.
It's been a great acquisition, and the Palmy Army are loud and clear at the moment after their recent results. Gray, thanks very much for joining me once again. It's good to be back. Looking forward to watching the footy this weekend, and of course you can tune in if you can't make it to AFL NTV. We'll have the Buffaloes versus the Tigers on AFL NTV. You can catch that game live on our YouTube channel, the NT News homepage. So looking forward to the footy, Gray.
All the best.
Thanks very much for joining us. We'll be back next week.